Today is Tuesday, July the 7th, and this is a committee of the whole meeting. And we will start this meeting at 7:10 p.m. I do want to say again, good evening and thank you everyone for being here. We're going to start with a couple of project proposals being presented to us. No, I'm sorry. Can we have roll call?
Yes. Trustee Burns here. Trustee Jones is absent with notice. Trustee Johnson. Here. Trustee Sauk absent with notice. Trustee Sterling. Present. And Trustee Dr. Winston. Here.
And I have one other thing that I would like to ask of you, and that is to move an agenda item. I would like to move public comments next, simply because it's projected that the comments for number 2.2, 2.3, and 2.4 may be quite lengthy. And it is very warm in here, and I do not want to burden our residents. Hopefully you don't mind. Okay. You'll come right after it. Okay? Thank you. Is that okay with you, trustees? Please talk to me. Is that okay? Thank you. So we're going to move toward public comments. All questions and comments must be directed to the mayor. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes, and you may not engage in debate, counter replies, or rebuttals. I will respond if I can respond to a question or a comment, but that does not necessarily mean that I'm required to. I will, if I am going to make commentary, I will do so directly after the individual who is speaking has completed their 3 minutes and or completed stating what they have to say. I am going to ask now that if you care to provide public comment, I'm going to ask that you stand at the podium now. I'm going to say this 3 times. And then after the 3rd time, if you're not standing, you will not be allowed to give comment. So for the 2nd time, if you wish to give comment, I'm asking that you stand to the podium now. Sir, do you want to give comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Get in line, please, now.
I'm sorry, what?
Please get in line.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I thought you said something else.
No, I just asked you to get in line. You see the line is quite long. It's getting ready to go out the door. So I am assuming that everyone that's standing in line now have a desire to give comment. Those who are still seated do not wish to give comment. We are getting ready to proceed. Village Clerk.
Yes. Go ahead, state your name, please.
Good afternoon, my name is
Can you put the mic out first, please?
Good afternoon, my name is Carmen Harris.
This mic is still not on. You press the button, it'll turn green.
Thank you, Trustee Sterling, for helping.
Thank you. Go ahead, state your name.
Good evening, my name is Mrs. Al Harris. My first name is Carmen, and I've never met you, Mayor, so it's a pleasure to be in your presence. I was just advised to come this evening. I've been a resident since I married my husband, Al Harris, and we have occasionally had water back up in our basement. But since this last flood, these extreme weathers, I've had 2 plumbers come to my home. The plumber this evening left and said because the water in the basement was clean, could I see if the city might be willing to come? I've got a manhole right in front of my direction, or if Public Works could just come in the manhole and look to see if there's not something, because of all this rain on their side, that would just put me at ease and know what direction I need to take from there. Thank you everyone for your time.
You're more than welcome, Ms. Harris. I'm going to invite you to step all the way over to this side. Mr. Finch, can you stand, please? And can you get her information so we can look at it tomorrow?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Privet and the board. My name is William Miller. I live in Lincoln Meadows, and also I have a concern about the flooding. I do have pictures. The water on the west side of Lincoln Meadows, the water is coming from the
Can you
field.
pull the mic up to your mouth a little bit?
Sure. Okay. The water is coming from the field, and it's coming from the south entrance. And if I may I hand this to you guys? Show me the photos, you can pass them around. See how,
Are these ones that you sent to me, sir?
those are some of them that I sent you. But we're getting so much water when it rains that it's coming on both sides of my home. And my neighbor's home as well. She's flooded, the house south of her flooded. And it's just devastating because every time it rains, we don't know if our house is going to flood or not because we're getting both of them water from the field and the school from the south entrance. So I'm just thinking, hoping there's a solution that the village could do to stop the water from intruding onto our properties. Because every time it rains, we get a flood. And I've already lost $1,000 from it. And it's just heartbreaking. When it rains, I can't sleep. I just can't sleep because I don't know. I have 2 sump pumps, 2. And that much rain came down, that those 2 sump pumps and I got all that water. And I know other folks have flooded as well, but I'm just speaking for the problem.
Thank you, sir. And I know that you have communicated with me, and I have shared the dilemma with Public Works as well as the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, as well as our interim director. And in a lot of instances, and especially where the water is coming down from the field, there is absolutely nothing that the village can do about that because that's not village-owned property. So we can't just go and maneuver on someone else's property. However, I am still looking for that person. I believe the owner's name is Mrs. White, but I have no contact information with her, but information for her. But we definitely need to allow the landowner to address her issues because I'm certain it's going to be massive. Know that where the south side is concerned, we had a complaint about that a couple of months ago, and we had MWRD come in and do an assessment, and they stated that them putting in that drainage pipe or whatever is not what's causing our flooding. So it's still something that's going to require additional research. I am happy that you have pictures. I have been asking everyone that has been dealing with floods and trees falling all over their properties to please take as many pictures as we can because we are reaching out to FEMA and asking FEMA to give us some relief. And naturally, if your insurance doesn't cover it, FEMA will cover it. And we want everyone to be made whole if at all possible. Okay? We can't do rebuttals. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board. Mayor. My name is Derek Banks. I'm a recent resident here in Sauk Village. I work with a company that has money for the village. I would like to help you all with it. It comes through a federal tax credit program. They can give it to you every year. It's based upon the number of employees you have who are full-time. You need a minimum of 15. I would like to meet with someone to set up a meeting with our youth to answer all the
Well, we thank you for that information, and we're just really hoping, since you say that it's federal funds,
Yes, ma'am.
that it's not dependent upon us having an up-to-date audit.
No, ma'am.
Wonderful. So I'm going to ask that you speak with Anthony Finch as well, so that he can have your contact information, you can have his, and we can schedule an appointment.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping in.
All right, you all have a great day.
Good afternoon. My name is Sebastian.
I'm sorry, say that again?
My name is Sebastian, and I'm gonna just.
What's your last name, sir?
One more time.
What's your last name?
Sebastian.
Last name is Sebastian?
Yeah, Sebastian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Yes,
Oh, interesting.
Let me know when the time
Did you
starts.
say Sebastian, Sebastian?
That's exactly what
I just want to make sure it's correct. Thank you. I'm starting your time over, so you can start right now.
Tuesday, May 12th, Thursday, May 14th, the phones were off to the village.
The who?
The cell phones, like to call the village, they were off. That violates Illinois law of Municipal Code 65 ILCS 5121. That's not okay. You all took an oath to us as the constituents of your village to ensure that we can hold you accountable, and with the phones being off, I'm not sure how you thought we as the constituents of your community would hold you accountable. Moving on, for the 2025 $17,000 in debt for fuel, yeah, I just wanted to remind you all that that was a thing. I don't know how you thought that could become a thing, or if that's like a social norm that you want to continue, but no, that's not a thing where I'm from, and I'm from around here, so that should tell you something. I'm gonna respectfully ask the mayor today to step down as mayor. That was the big one we said. Financial audits, you don't have an audit, and I'm directing this to the mayor's office specifically. The village of Sauk Village, you have an audit for 2026 or 2025, I think. I maybe misread it. The website is very janky, and your face being on the website, I think that is so immature, depending on where you're from and how you say it. So that's something you all need to work on. The leadership, the reasons the phones were off is because the board voted against it in theory, because there wasn't enough financial information. I'm interested to know the people that approved, or who allowed the phones to be off. I would say that. Who allowed the
One more minute.
Who allowed the phones to be off? This is specifically to the mayor. 362 individuals out of 9,921 residents of Sauk Village voted for you. And I've spoken with more than 3,242 of those residents, and they are all pushing for your immediate removal. So I'm asking today, if I bring you documentation of those signatures with petitions, will you step down due to the burden of what you are causing this community? I rest the rest of my time.
Thank you. Thank you.
You will.
I reserved it not to respond to you. You're more than welcome.
Okay.
I'm Francine Anderson, and my concerns today, first of all, I appreciate you moving the time, but since this is a committee meeting, usually we get a chance to hear the presenters and have our comments about what was presented. So we will not be able to do that today. But otherwise, if you plan on being here all day, I think it was a good move, but I would have preferred to have listened to the presenters as usual. The other thing is, I do not like to belabor anything, but I was here 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, and I mentioned there is a parked red truck on 21742 Jeffrey. And for our citizens who are disabled to have to still continue to walk around that truck who is blocking the sidewalk and who has been doing it now for 2.5 months. I want to know who he knows, because I need to know that person. Because I still get fines, I still get tickets, I still get everything. So I want to know why this person is not getting anything, and why is it that our children and our seniors have to walk in the mud, the dirt, and the clay in order to walk down Jeffrey. It's in front of the library. So anybody that did any kind of drive around that looked for anything during this flooding period, which was disastrous, and I would also like to make the other comment is that I mentioned over a year and a half ago, what are we going to do about the mature trees? Our village has a lot of mature trees. If we had taken a plan then, maybe some of the damage that occurred in this recent storm, which we have no control over, could have been more controlled. Of course, my car got damaged. I'll be glad to see your pictures, because the tree destroyed the front, the hood. So, Mayor, you mentioned it in your e-news that you will be contacting the state and the feds to find out where we can fit in with a plan for the emergency or FEMA. I would hope that you find a way to make sure that most of the residents are informed, because most likely, a lot of times, our residents don't get informed if they don't look at Facebook or come to the meetings. So I'm hoping that we will take another strategy about making sure that they're informed about what they might qualify for. The other thing is that I know Dr. Winston is presenting today, and part of it is on the forensic audit. I thought some voting was done and we were not doing a forensic audit. So if we are doing a forensic audit, then is that scope going to talk about that? And is that a good use of time or not a good use of time? The other things is that I see you have procurement policy and financial policies. And our interim village administrator and our interim financial director is also talking about that. So, I mean, are we duplicating services? We duplicate what? Talk to me. I don't know. What are we doing? Is somebody doing part one, somebody doing part two? Is anybody doing a whole plan so that we as the residents can kind of follow along? I am lost, and I'm not easily lost. So, those would be my questions for the day. And the other thing is I would really like to see the truck removed as soon as possible, so our disabled, handicapped citizens will not have to continue to trudge around here.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
David Smith, resident. First, a question that a lot of people ask me that I didn't have an answer to. Can we get some sort of an update on how many fireworks tickets were given out over the 4th of July weekend? A lot of residents are curious about that, how much money that brought in. Before I get into my negative, I want to give you guys big props. Thank you for at least keeping us somewhat updated with the public works. But, transparency with the financials. Just like you do okay on one side, and then the other side is completely opposite. Why is this administration not being forthcoming with the financials? You guys do the seeding as well. End of April, beginning of May, it's July. Has anyone on the board been given any proper documentation that they asked for yet regarding the over $1 million CD? And if not, why? Why are you guys withholding? What's the big secret? It makes you guys look funny. I'm not saying you stole anything, but I'm just saying it looks very suspicious. And specifically, if our previous mayor was here, you guys would be hooping and hollering. There'd be tiki torches. You guys would be ready to riot. I don't understand the contradictions. Speaking of contradictions, I don't understand why your finance director is parading around asking everybody, oh, file a police report, over $78,000, and he refuses to show any documentation or help, seems like any of the board members, deal with this $1 million. Which one is more important, $78,000 or $1 million? I just want to know. It doesn't make sense to me at all. And we do the same thing over and over again. You're not going to answer any of my questions because they're the tough questions. But this is the same thing that you said about the last mayor. And now it seems like the things that you allegedly had a problem with are becoming patterns of behavior. And I don't understand why. You got people that are going to come up here tonight and talk about the financial issues in the village. Because they're suing the village. Ask them how many tens of thousands of dollars were spent on his legal case. And you know, because I've got all the documents, I saw what you signed. Probably about maybe 30, 40,000. Defending the village from a lawsuit that got thrown out, dismissed. He still got a claim left. It doesn't make any sense. You spent about $20,000 on my case. You're suing me and the Attorney General. Everybody and their mama knows when you don't say the name of the person that you're trying to appoint, it's not a proper appointment, but you want to take us to court. That's crazy. You're wasting money. And then we got to have presentations about what we're going to do with the money. You threw it out the window in court. 1 minute? Good. I don't know how many times you sat up here and said, well, take me to court, take me to court. But then we're supposed to be broke and have a financial issue. Another contradiction. Be smart with the money. I don't understand y'all. It just don't make no sense. And I'm trying to be as nice about it as possible. It's interesting. Dude right here was like, you need to resign. Because realistically speaking, I just don't understand. I thought you had more morals than this. I didn't think I would see this many bad things. Like, no politician is perfect, but golly, really? Really? I need to sign his petition. You need to bring it next week. Because this is ridiculous. It's truly ridiculous. And it's only getting worse and worse and worse. Where is the CD money? Is it all still there? Has any ever been spent? Why can't you guys produce any sort of paper trail for this CD? Why?
Go ahead.
David Fields. Madam Mayor, I'm just going to turn the page for a minute. I want to thank you, Chief Sanders in the police department, Chief Dale in the fire department, for putting those speed bumps down Jeff.
Can you speak up, please? I'm hard of
She talking to me?
I can hear you.
Okay, we acknowledge that. Continue, sir.
Okay. Now, my thought process is that after the last speed bump that was put down on Jeff, it would be nice if we get two more put down between 215 and 216. Because after they passed that one, the last one, they right back to the speed zone, and that's where we got the most populated kids at, down on Jeff. It would also be nice if, I don't know if this is something that the public works, that the village is responsible for, or the county. Dividing lines, the division lines. It'd be nice if we had some division lines there so that people know where they're going. Every time these people don't even know where they're going. They don't know if they're supposed to be on this side of the street or this side of the street, especially on Jefferson. So it'd be nice if we had the division lines going down there so people can see what side of the street they're supposed to be on driving on. We got a lot of new drivers out here, and they don't have a clue as to what side of the street they're on. They were going to sidewalk, but didn't nobody want nobody on the sidewalk. So I think it's important that we have some guidelines set as far as where these kids are supposed to be driving these cars at. That's the end of my
Thank you. I took note.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Melissa Swartz. I am the president of Teachers Report Torrance. I just wanted to come up here and kind of finish my statements that I didn't get to finish the last time. And I did come up here and to speak about, the incident with my basement flooding again. At that point in time, I'm frustrated. But I think it's also important to acknowledge what has been done to kind of fix the situation that's going on in my house. And I do want to acknowledge that between the mayor, between Anthony, and John, there has been some change. And I do want you to know that I do appreciate what has been done and what is still, coming to be done. And I want you guys to know, and I want it to be known that you are listening. Maybe sometimes I want it to be heard faster, but I do understand it can't. I'm very appreciative of what has been done up until now. So I want to let you guys know that I am very appreciative. My husband is, we have a lot of faith. Sometimes our frustration gets the best of us. But I do want to acknowledge that you guys have shown me some support and some help, and you have done what you said you were going to do. So I want to say thank you to all three of you, and I do appreciate it. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nathan Griffin. I have several questions to ask. I'll read it off to you. I'd like to know, I understand that the village owes $48,750. And they also owe another bill of $339,639. That's a total of $388 $389. I'd like to know, do you think if the village owns the property, I like to buy some property, and I understand that no one has gotten together, but if you go and get in touch with the downtown, and I understand I went online and I found out that the village, the house that I wanted to purchase, the village owns it. Now, if you're in that debt and you own it, maybe you got a certain time in which you're going to straighten out the title and all that before you can sell it. But I think that would be one of the wisest things to do. I know it's a lot of things that's got to be done. It's a lot of things. But if you was to check out, because I understand it's not only 2 or 3 buildings, it's 4 or 5 buildings around here that is abandoned. And if the village do own it, and they get in touch with downtown, they could sell it. And someone would buy it. And I would be one of the ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. We have talked numerous times, and I understand also that you've talked with Mr. Finch numerous times, and we basically have shared with you the process. You're right. We do not have the deeds to all of these properties, and that's what we're seeking, and we're still seeking to get them. It does not occur overnight, sir. So we know of your interest. We know why your interest is there, but you are going to have to allow us time to get the deeds. We can't do anything without them, sir. Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on. I'm going to ask Interim Director Fred McMillan and Interim Village Administrator Anthony Finch to please take. Ooh, Rosie, forgive me. Forgive me, Rosie. I have an arrow, that's why. Our library director met with us not too long ago, and she has a couple of proposals that she would like just to bring to you. Director Reeves, can you please come up? And Mr. Finch, I'm going to ask that you be grabbing a chair so that when it's your turn, we can move seamlessly. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me? Or do I need to pull it up?
We don't know, because sometimes, you know, when you start talking, you talk loud, and then we recede just a little bit. So we'll just go play it by ear and see.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be on the agenda tonight. I just had a couple of things that I wanted to talk to the board about the possibility of partnering with. In your packet, you should have gotten a copy of the letter that I sent out. I do have a copy of that to pass out just for reference for today. And in that letter, it just states that we are looking to collaborate on a mailed newsletter. For those of you who have been here for a long time, you're aware that the Sauk Talk was a newsletter that was put together on a bi-monthly basis, and it was mailed to homes. That stopped in September of 2009 when I was the trustee that was in charge of it. Due to money concerns and other situations at the time, it was something that was cut. Since that time, there has been a lack of a good way to get information out to homes. We had a resident come up a few minutes ago and talk about the fact that if people aren't on Facebook, or if they don't know which websites to go to or which Facebook groups to go to or follow, they may not get the most accurate information. So the village still currently does a Sauk Talk, and it's moved from bi-monthly to monthly, but it's currently being done. And the library does a newsletter as well. We have the same problem that the village has. It is hard for us to disseminate information properly. I will say that our difficulty is probably expounded upon the fact that generally I would assume that everybody who lives in Sauk Village knows that there's a municipal center somewhere.
There's a what?
A municipal center. They have to know that there's a place where they can go to pay their water bill or make a phone call. We have several people who walk in once or twice a week and say, I've lived here for 5 years and I didn't know we had a library. Now there are signs located up and down Sauk Trail. And we try to be out there, we try to be present, but people don't even know that we're there. They don't know all the services that we offer, the programs that we offer. So we are looking for a better way to get the information out. I do have a copy of our newsletter. If I could ask the trustees to assist me in passing these things out.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody on the board receives our newsletter. Similar to how the Sauk Talk is done, it is emailed, and if you go to our website, mcconaugheypubliclibrary.org, at the bottom of our very first page, you can sign up for the newsletter. And this newsletter gets mailed out once a month. And in the newsletter, you'll see that there's a letter from me as the director, and then we just talk about what we do. We have our monthly calendar. We advertise that we sell license plate stickers. We are currently working on also doing passports, but that's going to take a while. We have our all of the other things that, any flyers that we have going on for the month. We have a video gamers club. We have a Lego club, so that would be in there. We recently switched to a new online resource, so the information to do that is in there. We have some Girl Scout flyers that stay in there. We have, when we're closed for the month, how to get a library card, how to join the Friends of the Library. We do Bunko once a month. We do bingo sporadically. Every Monday we have a senior movie at 1 o'clock. We have craft kits for kids that go out every Thursday. We have a cooking class every Tuesday. A craft class every Tuesday, a cooking class every Thursday. And we have our Spanish speaking hours listed, and then just our contact information in the back. Similar to the way that the Sauk Talk is structured, whatever flyers you have going on for the month. Historically, when the Sauk Talk was done, each department would put in an overall view of what was going on for the month. If any of the committees had specific flyers, that would go in the Sauk Talk, something like that. So what I would like to do is kind of combine efforts. I feel like we both have the same problem as entities. Disseminating information is difficult, and it is a cost. That's obviously why the village stopped doing it before. And I just like to tell people, because we have a lot of people who come in and wonder how the library gets their money and how the library uses their money. And like what I like to tell them is, if you look at your tax bill, if the school gets $1,000, the village gets $100, I get $1. That's a very rudimentary breakdown, but that's pretty much how it is. And then just for other edification, if you look at the surrounding libraries, when you have, and I'm just going to take the 4 closest, you've got Glenwood, which is a 2-town library system, Stager, South Chicago Heights, again, a 2-town library system, and Crete, which is basically 2 towns. And you look at my budget. We just passed our budget, and it's $580,000, and I have not researched Crete's budget in the last 5 years because it makes me cry a little inside, but the last time I looked at their budget, it was $5 million. And then when you look at Stager, South Chicago Heights, they average about $300,000 to $500,000 more than me. And then you've got Glenwood, who I always say, we are their redheaded stepchild. I have a very good relationship with Glenwood. I have some of their information, and they help me get some information for the newsletter. Brian and I are very close, but we are the redheaded stepchildren. You know, they spent $600,000 on an outdoor workout area, because if they didn't spend the $600,000, they were going to get fined by the government. Like, that is the difference. That is the drastic difference between my budget and the budgets I have to compete with around just in a 5-mile radius, okay? But, as I've said to anybody who's heard me talk about the library, we are tiny but mighty. We do a lot. And so we definitely want to let people know we're here. Utilize us, whether it be for copies, whether it be for prints, whether it be for help with research. We have movies, and while our collections may not be as large as other libraries, we are in a system of 116 other libraries, including, well, not, and on the top of Chicago Public Library and libraries out of state, where we can help you get the information that you need. People just need to know that we're there. So to do that, I would like to come to the table and discuss the possibility of a joint venture for a newsletter. Now, as close as Glenwood Public Library and I are, they would only let me take one of these and not enough for the whole board. So I would like to just pass this around. This is their newsletter. This is where I'm loosely basing the proposed newsletter from, and loosely basing the quotes that I have and I'm about to pass around, okay? So if you guys want to flip through this is a 16-page, 8.5 by 11, glossy printed newsletter that comes pre-stapled. So it is, they do the printing and they send it straight to the post office with a bulk mailing rate, okay? The quotes that I'm passing out now, again, are based on this newsletter, this structure, and also the amounts that they do. When contacting the different printers that I did, I wasn't able to give them the exact number of housetops that we have. When I was a trustee, there was 3,300 homes, give or take, in the village. I don't know if that's still accurate. I don't know how many vacant homes we have. So I wasn't able to give them the exact number of copies that we would need to get. So what you see in front of you is for approximately 6,500 copies, because that is what Glenwood processes. So, and what the quotes you see are just for the print. Now, they do their newsletter on a quarterly basis. I am open to discussing if this is something that the board would like to move forward with, and I think it would probably denote a smaller committee size of having a conversation of, are we doing this monthly? Are we doing this bi-monthly? Are we doing this quarterly? Are we doing this semi-annually? Obviously, the less amount of times that we put out per year, the less overall annual cost it's going to be. However, that means that the information has to be in there, which means we have to properly plan. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. We would have to, as a unit, decide events well in advance to be able to have the newsletter be useful. Because there's no point in putting out a newsletter if programs pop up, if, you know, because then they wouldn't get out and they wouldn't be advertised as well. Again, this is on a quarterly basis, and they put a lot in their newsletter. There's lots of little boxes. They have a lot of programs. We would probably, depending on the structure, if it's more flyer-based, if it's more word-based, that would be, again, something that would be for a different conversation. But I wanted to give you, the board, an example of kind of what I'm basing it on to see if this is something that the board would want to move forward with.
Yes, trustee?
How much would the village have to come up with in order to combine with the library?
So I'm looking for a 50-50 split.
And who will be doing this printing for, are we going through the same company who did Glenwood?
They are company one. They are the cheapest. And according to Glenwood, they had the best turnaround time. Now, company two that I looked at, which was just slightly higher, Glenwood has used them in the past, but they said their concerns, which may not be the same instances for us, but their concerns were they had a slow turnaround time. Their proof to like send the proof out could be 2-3 weeks after submitting. And then you still have to go, you know, once you approve the proof, then they have, I think they said 3 to 5 business days to accept your approval of the proof. And then there's printing, and then it has to get to the mailer, and then it has to get out to homes. So depending on if you have a program that's close to that cutoff date, Glenwood were having difficulties with sometimes missing the first couple programs that were in the thing.
I think it's a good idea, but me personally, I would personally have to look into legalities of it because of the 2 separate taxing bodies. That's pretty much it right now, but I will be requesting for an agreement from you in writing to the board with all the information that you're asking, so we can actually have it in writing and be able to come up with a decision. And how soon are you asking for us to make this agreement with you?
Honestly, I would like the first newsletter to go out in January. I think that that's more than enough time to create the agreement, because I would not move forward with a conversation, the handshake. That's not how I operate. So I would need to know, there's a couple of things that I actually need from the village. As far as like the bulk mailing rate, I was not able to get a exact cost for, like I said, a few reasons. A, because I don't know how many house tops we have.
You don't have
And
what?
B, house tops. How many homes we would be sending it to. So I don't know the exact number for that. And then B, I did mention to the person I spoke with at the Chicago Heights Post Office about it being a joint venture. And they suggested that before we move, once I get that information, before we move forward, that I would submit a joint letter, ideally from the mayor and my board president, saying that this is our intention, because it would have to, because what we could do, what I'm envisioning, is a joint bulk mailing. Now, we could get a separate bulk, because for anybody who knows how bulk mailing works, it goes by permit, so there's a different permit number. So for this venture, we could do one of 3 things. It could be the village does a bulk permit, the library does a bulk permit, or we do a joint one. So this is why I was not able to get a specific cost for mailing. I will say that Glenwood pays about $1,500 per newsletter for mailing. They have more house tops. It's a larger newsletter. All of these things are not something that I could come up with a price till I knew that this was something that you were going to move forward with. So ideally, if the board is saying this is something that we would like to look into more, what I think the next steps would be for my board president and the mayor to craft a joint letter of, we would like to, just seeking the information for the bulk mailing rate, okay? And
I
then,
think that we're being just a little premature at this point. I think that we have to look at the confines of the structure of our board and all of that. So what I would like to see is if our trustees would want us to put on the next board agenda if we should further exploration in this initiative.
Right.
Rather than
Oh, no,
we
that-
just start writing letters and doing this and doing that and doing that.
no, that's what I'm saying.
We will need to vote and we need to contact our attorneys also. So we have some homework to do. And so I'm glad that your timeline, or our timeline, would go out to be January. But yes, I think we're just a little ahead of ourselves right now. I'm going to go with Trustee Burns first.
So once we decide to do a joint effort to combine our informational sources, who will be mailing through? Would the village be doing the mailing out? Would we use our database? Because you do have a database for the residents that you service, and I'm sure we have a complete database because all of our residents have to receive their water bills. So we have the strongest database. So it will be mailed through. Are you guys going to combine your databases, or are you going to use the villages?
So how it works is that the post office has all of the addresses for the Village of Sauk Village. So it would just be labeled, like on the back of this, it says postal customer, and they know what zone.
Okay.
I think there's 2 zones of Sauk Village, so they would know what zones it would go to, and we would do nothing. The village and the library would be responsible for the production and the cost. The printer would print, they would take it to the post office, and then the post office would have it sorted to the different zones.
Thank you.
Trustee Johnson?
My concern at this time would be, that'd be great to put it on the agenda, but after the agenda, we as a board have to look at, because we haven't did our budget yet, and that's important. We have to figure out what budget item line that will fit up under, and will our budget be sufficient enough to be able to pull that on at this time, to be honest with you. So I do think we should put that on the agenda to vote, to give her time to get our agreements together, and then in the midst of that, still be able to prep ourselves for our new budget and figure out what budget item line that will fall up under.
Thank you. For that, Trustee Burns.
Yes. Now you're saying that you are more, you're better. You think that company 1 is better suited for what we need, correct? From the 3
I'm
companies.
saying based on what the suggestion from Linwood Public Library, that, and because it's the cheapest, and I'm free.
And this 3781 is quarterly.
That, yes, they do a quarterly newsletter.
Okay, so quarterly.
Yes. But again, this is, so the quote you have in front of you, and I understand the budget. So, our budget's done. I increased my, because what I have this under is my printing budget, okay? So this, what I'm assuming, if the budget is still structured the way it was prior to 2017, I would assume that you have a board of trustee, governmental part of your budget, and there's a printing budget, there's a printing line item. So that's where I would assume this would fall under.
Okay, we can talk about that one later. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so that's where I would assume it would fall under, but what the
It
problem
would not.
is.
We have an administration budget. It would go under administration.
Right, so however,
trustee.
and like I said,
I don't
things
know
may
what
have
it is.
changed,
Yeah.
things may have changed since 2017, but there would be a place where you would have to look at it. The problem is that until, like, the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss a couple things, right? So it's number 1,
Right.
is this something you want to move forward with? Okay, yes or no? The second part of that would be, are we looking to exactly replicate this? This is 16 pages. Obviously, the smaller amount of pages, the less it's going to cost.
I
This is
think what
glossy.
we're going to need to do, Director, if you please excuse me in here, because I am trying to move this meeting on, because we got a lot left to go with. I think that what's necessary, as I said before, I don't know who this is, not we should continue exploration and then make the suggestions and make the decisions so that when we write up the agreement and the memorandum of understanding or whatever, we have all of that ready. But right now, I think that it's a little preliminary to go through this much. And I'm just going to ask that you please respectfully hear what I'm saying. We can't make all of these decisions tonight. They're going to vote to say, oh yeah, she has some wonderful ideas in terms of our next steps. Let us move with our next steps based on what our trustees determine when we put it on the agenda next week for them to let us know if it's something that they want to continue.
And while I can appreciate that, if the trustees are asking for quotes, I can't get that, and I don't know if that would be part of your decision. If you're looking to move forward, I would assume you would need to have kind of a better idea of the dollar.
We're going to vote whether or not we're going to continue the research on it, and with that, then that's inclusive of who's doing what, who's on first, who's on second, which company are we actually going with rather than it being called company 1, company 2, company 3. We're interested, but let us conduct the business of our trustees. Let them vote to say, let's move forward with any and everything that needs to make this, to bring this to fruition. Okay? We have to vote on it at Tuesday's board meeting. You're voting to continue the research, Trustee Burns. She has another presentation.
Okay, so Mayor, so this is what I want to say. Director is in the middle of her presentation, and just like anyone else that will come up here, I would love to allow her to finish her presentation without you disrupting her and then trying to speak for us. Let her finish her presentation. Let us hear what she has to say, and then we will make the decision on how we want to move forward. But it's difficult to follow all of the structure that she has to speak on if she keeps getting interrupted. And this is like her third.
I think that she's asking questions of you.
But that's what she needs to do.
This.
I turned my mic off.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh God, is this on rain?
So basically, I'm just saying, just I want to hear her out.
Honestly, I think I probably had some more to say, but I do feel like I was getting stopped, so I kind of lost my train of thought. So here's the thing. Ideally, I would like the newsletter to go out in January. We have plenty of time. I understand the way the village board works. I've been trustee for 12 years. I totally get it. If this is something that it seems like the board would be willing to pursue at some point, I will work on the back end and try to provide some more information. If you can vote on it next Tuesday, that's fine. I'm still going to do the information because while I am frugal and I am cheap and I don't like to spend the library's money, if this is something that the board does not find that they want it in their budget, in a line item, I'm gonna do it anyway for me. I'm just trying to say I think it would be nice to be able to do a joint venture. And if I did it myself, then it would probably be biannually or something like that, because like I said, if y'all get $100, I get $1. So, but I just was trying to find, we've talked about different ways to bring the two entities together, and I thought that this might be a good way to do it. So, if, I know you guys have other things on the agenda, I know that I did allow myself to be moved, so,
Really crucial.
absolutely for the same time frame. So yes, I understand that, but I thank the board for allowing me the time, because I have been trying to come here for a while to do this. So please, if anybody has any other questions, you know where I'm at, please feel free. You can reach out to me, and we can further the conversation. The second item that I wanted to bring to the board is snow plowing. We have a parking lot that the village drives around when they plow the streets every year. We have increasingly found difficulty in finding a reliable snowplow to come do our parking lot. Our parking lot is small, and we don't have there's not a lot of the commercial snowplow places that will come out. I don't know why everything Sauk Village is so far away, but we're finding difficulty having somebody come out and consistently plow. We've gone with home companies, and what's ended up happening is we have not had our parking lot plowed by the time we open up in the morning, and we open up at 9:30. So it's not like it's 7 o'clock in the morning we need it done. Plowed and salted. A lot of times this past year, we have tried to shovel it ourselves. We have done walks ourselves, myself and my assistant administrator. We've gone out and we've done it ourselves, and we're fine with doing the sidewalks. The problem is that us shoveling our parking lot is unsafe for our patrons. And so I know a couple times over this past season, I reached out to Mr. Finch and asked, is it possible for Public Works to come in and I see them out in the street, is it possible for them to just sweep past and get us done, just because we're about to open and we do have elderly residents that come and it's just not safe. I've reached out via email a couple times, I hadn't heard anything back, so I wanted to, prior to the season, I wanted to reach out to the board and see about the possibility of making this happen. I don't know, I'm sure this is not something that you guys have ever done through a different entity as before, so I don't know what the cost structure for that would be. I don't know how that would even be identified, but I would like for the board to consider the possibility of having Public Works come out and maybe measure the area of our parking lot, and based on that, determine how much they would charge for plowing and salting, because it honestly, I've watched them do it before, our lot takes under 20 minutes, and that's including salting, or not a whole lot. But it's imperative that my staff and the residents of Sauk Village are safe coming into our library.
Well, my concern is, will Public Works fill out a grievance on that? Because we've been getting a lot of grievances from Public Works, to be honest with you. And where the grievance will come in at is because, again, you're a separate taxing body, and you understand that. So that's what our attorneys will have to research and look into. Because honestly, as a board member, I'm tired of seeing grievances from the Public Works Department over the littlest things, even down to moving tables, okay? So we have to really understand what we agreeing to within village property and land out here. So if there's any way possible, you can give us some time in order to look into that, legality with that, because I don't want to see no more grievances through Public Works, to be honest with you. Is there any way that you could see about another small company that will come and service y'all for the winter?
Oh, absolutely. There's the opportunity to look is definitely out there. But again, I'm looking for trying to find ways for the two entities to combine. I've had Public Works, they're in our building once a month to check our water meters. They've always offered, Director, if you need something, or Rosie, if you need something, let us know. I don't know a lot of the newer public works guys, but I know some, and they did stop and help us one time when they saw us out there over the sidewalks, and they offered, and I was like, we got it, don't worry about it, thank you so much. And I don't want the village, anything that I'm talking about tonight, I don't want the village to do anything above and beyond legalities or anything like that. Like I said, I'm very trustee, I understand your business, I understand how this all works. That is why I'm coming into this board in July, because I'm hoping snow doesn't fall till October. And so I know that, or December, I'm not the major, but I'm saying that like I said earlier, proper preparation is best performance. I look out, I plan outwards, and I'm looking for, I know the village is going to be in the streets. I know that they will be plowed. And if any way in your contract, if it does not go above and beyond anything that they can do legally, if that's a possibility, I would like to know that sooner rather than later, because if I do have to go out and find another company, I want to do that sooner rather than later. That's why I'm doing this. I don't want the board to get in trouble in any way. I don't want to see any more grievances. I don't want anything like that. I'm just saying, is there a way to do this? I've spoken to my legal team. They don't think that there's a problem with it, but again, this is something that will be a board decision. And I'm bringing it to you now so that you can do the research, so that you can figure out if it's something that you want to see. And like I said, so that you can discover pricing. And I don't expect this to be done for free. I expect to pay if you have a budget for snow removal. And I don't mind paying for it. But we come down to this beginning of the day. So what?
I'm good.
I'm great. Let's do one question. I said what I had to say.
I just would like to have a copy of that email. That's all I'm asking for. Huh?
Why not? We in the meeting now, I want to see it now. So why can't I get it now? You got it. Make it make sense, nigga. Because if you ask me, he gonna take you got now too. Is that what he gonna do? If you ask me, he gonna take you got now too. If you was to ask him for that document right now, he will pass it to you with no problem.
I'm
But
just.
what is the issue? Why you can't pass it to me or another board member so we can see you?
If we talk about people being dictators, you don't like dictators, you don't like dictators, then you can't do dictators.
I'm asking to see the document. So I'm asking for you to request it so you can pass it to me.
I'm going to respect his desire.
His design, not the trustee's
This meeting should be over with then. The trustees can't see no document that he done read out in public.
Clerk Williams, is it possible for, if it's okay with the village administrator, can she copy for the entire board at this moment? I actually want a copy. I think Trustee Sterling and Trustee Winston wants a copy. Is that okay if we get copies tonight? Clerk Williams, can you make that happen? Thank you.
Okay, so, while she's making copies, we're going to do recording soon?
Sure. I just announced that I was leaving the building,
Okay.
or the room.
I didn't even get that, I just wanted to make sure I was being recorded. Well, you're not. Okay, let's move on to the minute.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm sorry?
I said that was it.
That was it.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
He read it into the public record. I'm for you, and it first came to my hand. Look for my for you.
And I just want to make sure that as we develop an agenda for next Tuesday, that
No, until we see it in writing.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. We can do this, we'll come back to that, because we got some time before this meeting is over. Even though it is, okay, let me share with you how this next portion of the meeting is going to go. All of the things that are on ABC and they all need to talk about, discuss.
No, they were tabled. Two items were tabled. Never talked about the procurement policy or the financial policy.
It was talked about before you became trustee. I'm sorry,
It wasn't able to discuss it.
it was discussed, trustee, before you became
Mr. Finch gave us this policy in August of 25, asked us to review it when we started the budget.
okay, we're going to get bogged down with that, or we're going to actually discuss it. What's your pleasure?
I stated my pleasure.
Let's,
I stated my pleasure when I asked for it to be on the agenda.
thank you, so that's where I'm going.
Thank you.
So let me do it, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so, you have been reviewing, ready to talk about the first one, the forensic audit, for you all to decide once and for all, if the forensic audit is going to go on the agenda for a vote, but what I would like to see one of the trustees that you discuss it among yourself. I'm not going to lead the discussion, however, I will go into parliamentary procedures. I will call the candidate when your hand is raised for your part to discuss. But this part, all four of these parts, I'm counting on you four trustees to have those discussions and then let me know whether or not they're going to be on the agenda. Can you manage to make that right? Thank you. Trustee, Dr. Winston, you want to start?
I would like to see the forensic audit move forward. For several months, this board and the village have been subjected to hearing about a theft of $78,000. Then all of a sudden, the $78,000 discussion ceased. I would like the forensic audit to move forward so that we can do our due diligence to see if it actually was a theft of $78,000 in the previous administration or it was not. That ends my discussion for that topic.
From the beginning, Mayor, as you stated a couple of weeks ago, I brought to the board members a scope. That's what we need to be discussing. You asked at the last discussion of the scope was for the trustees to try to dumb it down and come to an agreement, and that's what I thought I was going to hear today. I even asked my fellow board members to review the scope that I presented to every trustee. Obviously, I don't know if they've done that or not, but also, Mayor, on social media, they're saying that I'm against the forensic audit. Now, how is that possible when I'm the main one that brought it up saying that the village needed a forensic audit? Make it make sense. I'm the first one to throw out her scope for the forensic audit. Mayor, you stated it was too long. So, are we going to move forward with the scope that I provided? Because if y'all read the scope that I provided, it has specific details of what the village need to provide to the forensic audit for them to do their research. We can get down to the nitty-gritty of actually what's going on. And I haven't heard anything yet from no board members.
In actuality, 3 trustees provided their input in the scope.
So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna dumb it down, or are we gonna move forward with the scope? Because you have to have a scope in order to move forward with a forensic audit. So when should we let the mayor know that, are we moving forward with the scope? Are we moving forward with the forensic audit? We've been prolonging this too long now.
So far we have Trustee Johnson, Trustee Winston, and Trustee Sterling that presented documentation. It appears that 3 trustees want to move forward in the forensic. Is that you do not want to move forward?
I'm not saying I'm not want to move forward, I'm for it, but I didn't have Trustee Dr. Winston's. I only have 2. When I went back to check the emails, I didn't see it. I have Trustee Johnson, and then I have mine, of course, but I didn't see Dr. Winston's.
Right, and it was, and she, Trustee Sterling did ask for Dr. Winston's the last time. So
Yeah.
as of right now, you still have not received
I
it.
still don't have it because I can't,
Access your village emails?
well, at one point, but now I can, but I still don't have yours. So I can make my comparisons to that. And I looked for it today, but I couldn't find it. And I looked through your thread, Madam Mayor, but I didn't see it.
With all of their suggestions in it?
Yes.
I can't really recall. What
Yes.
was it made?
That's
was
how
in
I got it through a package.
You got to do a package?
Yes, because hers was in the form of a resolution. So we're at a standstill.
My emails tonight and send you.
Yes, yeah.
If it got mislaid, I will make sure that you all came in the morning.
Yes, so that,
I'm sorry, if that's the case.
Yes, I do need hers.
Okay.
And then I have one other thing about this, about the forensic audit that I was still concerned about. With us having that disclaimer of opinion from the last audit, I'm just wondering, when you do the forensic audit, are we looking for, I know it's extensive things that we're looking for, but I'm concerned on whether we would be able to have those documents available to the auditor. And I want to know, has the administration, have they done their research or have a list of the things that are available for the auditor, would-be auditor? And do you have any knowledge of maybe what could be missing that they would possibly look for?
As mentioned before, the auditors, they look at what the scope is, what you would want them to do and to provide. Based upon that, there's a 3-letter that they claim, but basically they send you a list of the items that they need us to produce. Until they complete that form, and it's almost like a checklist, we won't know exactly all that they would want from us. So we don't have that at this point because we haven't even signed a person to do so, to do a forensic audit. We don't have an agreement. You okay?
I'm just saying that we're going to possibly be spending a lot of money and we may not even have the documents available. So that's all I'm concerned with.
When is the last time we talked about the forensic audit? Do you remember?
Yes, the last year, the whole year.
Not the very last.
Yes. But I'm just working, I'll share with you the whole week. And I know that
If you say so, because these weeks pass so fast.
We talked about, parliamentary procedures at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. So, as I said,
Yes, it was.
June 16th,
17.
June 17th.
To create a whole meeting.
This one says to be in the home is June 16th. So
June 16th?
June 16th.
Yeah, the 23rd was the board meeting.
But it's not on the 16th. I'm not sure how to say it. But this is the 16th, it's not on the 16th. But we're bringing it up now, so we're going to wait for Trustee Sterling to get the documentation and then we'll do the next step.
So are we tabling this until the next committee of the whole meeting, or what would you like to do? And then at that committee of the whole meeting, what will we be discussing? Are we gonna decide on the scope, or are we deciding the scope and the forensic audit to move forward? Because they need a discussion topic to place on the agenda. For what?
To discuss it, make a final decision on the scope of work and to move forward on whether, to decide. We're gonna move forward to yes.
Thank you.
I think we should go ahead and move forward with the procurement policy. I think it's something that we need. It strengthen our internal controls. So I'm for moving forward with that. For the procurement policy. Yes, for the board meeting.
I am in agreement with moving forward, but there are some things that I would like to bring to the attention to the administration in regards to the procurement policy to possibly strengthen a couple of areas. Am I at liberty to review those? The first one is the areas that I recommend strengthening: the board oversight reporting. The policy tells administration how to purchase, but it doesn't tell the board how we will monitor compliance. I recommend requiring quarterly purchasing reports to the board that summarizes purchases over established thresholds, emergency purchases, sole source procurements, bid waivers, change orders, and policy exemptions. I'll forward this to you, Mr. McMillan. But without doing that, the board can only see the purchases when they come before us for approval. Number two, stronger internal audit language. The policy references internal audits in limited circumstances, but it doesn't establish a routine audit process. I would recommend that we established an annual procurement compliance review to verify departments are following the policy. That protects both the staff and the board. The third, consequences for non-compliance. The policy states employees may face discipline if they violate the procedures. I think we should be more specific, clearly define the consequences for unauthorized purchases, purchase splitting, bypassing competitive bidding, and failure to obtain required approvals. Vendors' performance evaluation. The policy explains how vendors are selected. It says very little about how vendors are evaluated after they receive the work. I like to see an annual vendors' performance review process. for us to create a formal vendors evaluation process so that we can measure their effectiveness. This information would help future boards make informed decisions if that company comes back before the board. Cybersecurity. We know much of today's purchasing happens electronically. The policy discusses internet purchases, but it doesn't address cybersecurity, electronic approvals, fraud prevention, phishing, or vendor payment verification. Given today's environment, I believe that this area should be strengthened. Adding controls, addressing electronic approvals, vendors verification, cybersecurity, and fraud prevention. Ethic training. The policy has a very good code of ethics section. However, it doesn't require annual ethics and procurement training for all employees involved in purchasing. Please understand, policy only works when everyone understands them. Emergency purchases. The emergency purchases section gives necessarily flexibility. However, I would like to see a stronger documentation requiring after an emergency occurs. For example, what was the emergency? Why couldn't normal purchasing procedures be followed for it? And what alternatives were considered? This creates transparency after the fact. Performance metrics. The policy explains what staff should do. It does not explain how success will be measured. I like to see metrics such as the percentage of purchases, competitive bid examples. 95% of purchases over bidding threshold were competitive bids, or 5% were solely source of emergency purchases. Again, that protects the transparency and public trust. Our average procurement timeline. How long does it take from the time a department requests a purchase until a contract is rewarded? If it takes 30 days, that may be acceptable. If it takes 120 days, that may delay projects and increase costs on the village end. The board doesn't need to manage the process, but we should know whether the process is efficient. Number of emergency purchases. Emergency purchases should be exactly that, emergencies. If administration reports 2 emergency purchases this year, that's understandable. But if there are 25 emergency purchases, that's an issue. Then the board should be asked whether departments are planning appropriate or whether the emergency provision is being used to avoid normal purchasing procedures. This metric helps to ensure the board the accountability with administration. Cost savings through competitive bidding, and all of these topics are in the procurement policy. One reason we require bids is to obtain the best value for taxpayers. For example, if the engineer estimated a project would cost $600,000, but a competitive bidding results in a contract of $525,000, then the village saves $75,000. Those are the kinds of successes the board should hear about. It demonstrates that the policy is producing financial value. Local vendors' participation. As trustees, we want all of our businesses to succeed in Sauk Village whenever possible. So tracking local vendors' participation help answer questions like how many village businesses submitted bids, how many were awarded contracts, are we creating opportunities for our local business communities while still complying with procurement laws. It doesn't mean giving preferences where the law doesn't allow it. It simply helps us understand whether local businesses are participating in the process. Overall, I believe it was a well-written policy, and it's important that we take steps towards strengthening the village financial controls. Thank you.
with all those recommendations and corrections, you think we need to just table this into the next committee of the whole? Yeah, because this is a lot. We're changing one of the recommendations that you want to do, so I think we need more time. I don't think it's not ready for a board meeting. I think we need to see the corrections that were made, and we move it to the next committee of the whole meeting.
Because it's just to strengthen.
Yes,
so the board,
understand.
we need to be able to measure the performance. In the way that it's written, it doesn't give us measurement.
Yes.
We don't know what's working or what's not. So I just think,
I mean, they're good recommendations. I'm with you on that. I just think we needed more time, so they give him time to make the corrections, and then we can see the corrections, and we can move forward to vote. And this will be ready for that Friday before the committee of the whole, right? Okay.
I was just going to say, if you could email them to me, I want a part of this record, and then I'll make sure they get copies for the community for them to go.
Thank you. That was really nice and easy. I like that. Can we move on to discussion of financial policy?
I have a couple of recommendations, but some of the recommendations kind of mirror from the procurement. Some of the things are the same. So, the first recommendation was to give the board better oversight. One thing I noticed is that the policy tell employees what they are supposed to do. It doesn't tell administration what information should routinely come back to the board. For example, I would recommend requiring quarterly reports showing purchases over $10,000, emergency purchases, sole source purchases, bid exemption, contract amendments, manual checks issued outside the normal payment process, purchasing card activity, and any policy violations. The policy already requires board approval for accounts payable and larger purchases, but I believe the board should also receive summary reports that allow us to monitor trends instead of only approving individual transactions. The second recommendation was measure success, and again, that's kind of how, even with the procurement, this is probably my biggest recommendation though. The policy explains procedure. It doesn't explain how we know whether these procedures are working. For example, instead of simply saying we require competitive bidding, it tells us what percentage of purchases actually followed the competitive bidding process. How many purchases qualified for exemptions? How many emergencies purchases occurred this quarter? How much money did competitive bidding save taxpayers? How many local businesses submitted bids? And how long does the average procurement process take? So again, some of the same language. This is the type of information that helps a board govern. Otherwise, we're simply hoping the policy is being followed. As the trustees, we should be able to measure whether the policy is producing accountability, efficiency, and good stewardship. The third recommendation, clarify contract approval authority. This section caused me to pause. The policy says contracts over 5,000 are signed by the mayor and village administration. Contracts 5,000 or less are signed by the department head and financial director. But then it states all contracts require board approval. I would simply ask administration, is it our intent that every contract, regardless of amount, come before the board? If that's the intent, that's fine. If not, the language should be clarified. I had one for vendor performance, but it is almost exact replica from the procurement one. Internal compliance reviews. The policy has numerous controls, but I don't see a requirement for an annual procurement compliance review. I'd recommend that the finance conduct an annual review or have an independent review to ensure departments are following the policy consistently. That protects the village, it protects the employee, and it protects this board. The last one area I would definitely need some clarity on. Throughout the policy, the financial director is given significant responsibility. The finance director oversees purchasing orders, accounts payable, purchasing cards, capital assets, debt administration, fund balance monitoring. Now, that's not necessarily wrong, but as a trustee, I want to ensure that enough independent checks and balances are being put in place so that no single office controls too many financial processes without periodic review. This is just simply strengthening our internal controls. Multiple approvals and regular board reporting are good practices, but additional oversight just helps to make sure that we reduce risk. Thank you.
I agree with Trustee Dr. Winston with that last part with the checks and balances. I think that is entirely too much for one person to be touching. So I do agree that we need to come up with something, a stronger language for that as far as checks and balances. And also, did you mention about when you were saying about the reporting for the financial policy, did you mention anything about transfers? About you know, like giving us a reporting about any kind of transfers that were made? Wire transfers or other, whatever kind of transfers. Did you mention anything about having a procedure in there for that?
Right now, we don't have it in the policy and procedure at all.
So I think that would be something that we need to implement that into the policy.
And some of it is just because wiring wasn't done back in the day. Mm-hmm. So if we're coming current, then we would have to put an entire policy and procedure about ACH payments, mm-hmm. wires. We would have to not only do wire, but include the ACH payments, Zelle payments, or if we have capabilities of doing it, it probably would be better just to include all of that into it.
I would agree with that. I think we would do, this is 2026, all of that should be involved because those are all of the things that we deal with as far as payments or whatever, purchasing. So I'm taking we're going to do the same thing with this. We make corrections or whatever, do the thing with the resolution with that, and we have that for the next committee of the whole.
Exactly, and or because there's a whole section that may need to be added, that may come at the following meeting. Simply because we were getting ready, believe it or not, an ordinance for ACH payments. What's happening today
It's one of the things that I wanted to discuss is the special meetings, the fact that we're still running around to different homes to drop off packages. The main reason for us to getting devices, laptops, tablets, whatever, is so that we can have those documents put on our computers and we can have our our meetings, committee meetings and board meetings right before us. I still think we need to not have to deliver packages to homes anymore. I think we need to add that into the policy. If we have laptops, computers, all of that is delivered. Like everyone is saying, we're not in the Stone Ages anymore. I think that is something that was before computer times, that they had to run around and deliver packages to persons' homes. And we've had several complaints about that, running to different homes. So I want to ask Mr. Finch, those of us that return our computers to you, are you any closer to getting them ready for us? If they are ready, everything is on there. So at this point, I think we need to put in policy that all of our meeting packets, such as what Clerk Williams is doing right now, once we receive those electronically, there's no reason for us to have to go to persons' homes and deliver.
You're referring to special meetings.
Special meetings, for special meetings.
Any meeting. Any meeting before that, it should be on the computer.
It should be on our computer. We should be able to have our computers, and we should be reading off our computers while we're sitting here. And running around to homes, that should be obsolete. There's no need for that anymore.
Okay, I'm sorry. Was to bring forth again the diligence company. Those of you who, I'm certain some of you remember something like the diligence company. I know that you were on the board here. And that company is one of many that provide services to like school boards. I mean, they have different layers. And what they do, if you go to the remember, we would send them the documents. They put all of the documents labeled, filed in a library according to whatever the topic is. So all the agendas will be in one file. If you deal with the ordinances, that will be in another file. I don't know if you remember also that when I brought the diligence company before you, it was to really justify a reason that we would buy computers, laptops, or back then it was either, not the iPhone, but no, it wasn't BlackBerry, definitely not that. The tablets or whatever. And we never went with the company. You know, the company is less than $5,000 a year to do that. But we only focused on the electronic. Now the electronics are so low, I thought that I would bring it back, but I would want to do it at the next committee of the whole meeting, so we can hold back and just go back to Wednesday right now. How about you? Oh, you were giving yourself relief? Oh, no, that's not, I'm sorry. Okay, anyone else have anything where the financial policy is concerned? So we will follow the same procedure, Wednesday. You will send it, yes, to the clerk, and it's going to be highlighted, right, like you had it there?
Yes,
Okay, and
and then also let's add the wire, ACH, some electronic.
everybody agree with that? So we're looking at really now both of them being on the board agenda next week. Okay? All right. There's one other one.
Yeah.
easier, so I'll read it. So it is my understanding, I have a copy for you. It is my understanding that were previous attempts to amend the 2.68 municipal code regarding standing committees, which were not adopted by the board. Since those amendments were not passed, an important procedural question should be asked is that which standing committee ordinance is currently in effect. Trustee Johnson has brought this up several times. So before we can consider, review, or discuss anything as far as standing committees, we need clarification, or I need clarification, on what's the current ordinance governing standing committees. If the existing ordinance remains in effect, then we should acknowledge that ordinance as the governing law until the board lawfully amends it. If the board wishes to revise the committee structure, I support doing this through proper channels of the law. I am not revisiting past disagreements because it's not solving anything. I am only for understanding which ordinance is active and when we can start with the new trustees picking their committees and moving forward, helping the residents. The last ordinance that I seen that was adopted, I have here is 19-018. That's the last thing that I'm seeing that was adopted. I did have the one that was for number 21, but it was not adopted. I don't see that it was adopted. I'm not sure if it was listed on the website. I mean, I didn't see it on there. But I do have that sheet for it just saying 21, but it was not adopted. I'm not saying anybody voted on it or anything.
Did you compare the two, the 19 and the 21?
I did compare the two. The difference is that with the 21, instead of public events, is community development committee. So now I'm confused. I need to know like which one is in effect, because I believe the one that you all were doing is the one that had the community development on there. I think Clerk Debbie was doing that. This one says number 21, so I'm taking that with the year 2021. Isn't the year always first and then it has the number? But in this particular instance, it doesn't have a number, so I'm figuring it has not been adopted. Or at least it's not in with the ordinance. It's not in which one? Which year?
It's in the minutes. Check the date in the minutes from that day, please.
Yeah, this is the current one. This is the current one. Because guess what? Larry Sack got out of office. I took his committee, which was Public Service Committee. Debbie had community development at that time. Ordinance was Arnold Coleman. Housing was Diane. Public health and safety was Trustee Burns.
There's no ordinance.
This ordinance number, no, it just says 21, but this is the current one.
Okay. Mayor, can I explain something? What I'm going to do is, what I was going to talk to you about later on when we get to the next presentation. If you look at the Sauk Village Codified Municipal Code, and we know what we're looking for is 2-68, okay? So then you go to the search bar, and you go through 2-68. I think you codified last 2023. Okay, so at the very bottom on your code book, what it says is, all the codes pertaining to this ordinance, and from the very beginning when there was committees, ordinance 383, and then that was changed in May of 1977, then ordinance number 657, this shows all the times it has been amended. This is for trustee edification. Anytime you want to see what the very last ordinance was that was adopted, and up to 2023, which is the last time we had it. Okay, so the last one on here is 7-23, 2019, which is ordinance 1918. Now, you raise a very good point, Trustee Johnson, but according to our codified code, the last ordinance is 19018. But I do agree with you to the fact that in 2021, in the code book, that's why I'm willing to say the last one that was approved was 19018, because in the codified book, that's what it says. But Trustee Johnson is raising a good point, because back in 2021, when I was a trustee, I did have a community development committee. I remember the previous mayor taking me off of the public defense committee and putting me on the community development committee. So you raise a very good point that this ordinance, although it's not numbered, may have been passed but not codified. So this has to be researched. So this, according to what Trustee Johnson just pointed out, is probably very likely the most current, but I have to research this to see because it's not codified. This is 2021.
That's 2021.
Right. 2021, I was a trustee. I'm saying I have to do some research. Because the last one that's codified in the code book is 19 when I was a trustee under public defense. But Trustee Johnson just raised a very good point. In 2021, when I was a trustee, I was community development. So this has to supersede this one because this is community development. So I will do my research and make sure that if this had been passed properly, it just wasn't codified.
Right, because she was behind in the codification.
Right, so I look, that's why I was going to explain to you in my presentation how important codification is and that it's updated timely, because as we pass laws, the best way to find out what the current law is to look at your code book. So thank you for raising that.
I got a question. So the reason this all came about is because in Trustee Sterling's statement, she said that the current, if this doesn't get passed, we must go back to the old committees, which is this one. This is the one, the recent one in 2021, which I got into office in 2023. This was still on the floor. This is what I've been trying to tell you, man, from day one. If this new one did not pass, we should have automatically jumped to this one and just gave out committees. So we wouldn't, but you suspended our committees. So I don't understand that part. But Mayor, I have you on recording saying you suspended our committees. All the board members know we're not going to go back through that again. But moving forward, what should we do at this time? Okay, when will we find out? What can we do at the moment? Because I'm pushing for our old committees to be active starting this week. We should have been active already. There's nothing stopping us from being active. No, Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor, but I have to correct you. It's not. It states in the ordinance under here where it says, whereas pursuit of section 2-68 of the municipal code of the village of Sauk Village, various standing committees have been established to better organize and conduct municipal operations, including the Public Service and Public Safety Committee. Now, when you go into the actual standing committees, it only says Public Safety. Where is Public Services Committee? Which I know because I had Public Service Committee before I even committed myself to this new administration to take over the Ordinance Committee. But it's at a standstill because y'all are not in compliance with this ordinance already that's on the floor already. But Yeah, she changed to public service. She took that off the floor and decided to change it to,
I think the only concern.
the one that was changed was public services changed to community engagement committee. If they hadn't had community engagement, it would have been public services. Yes, that's the only new one that's on this thing. We never had community engagement committee. And it's in this one. Show me where you see community engagement, please. I'm speaking on it because I had public service committee is not on here anymore.
Okay, so the 6 committees that we had at the time, Mayor, if you don't mind, are Budget Finance, Public Service Committee, Public Health and Safety Committee, Housing and Intergovernmental Relations, Ordinance Committee, and Community Development Committee, some of which we don't have at this point. So if you all would give me the opportunity to go and look through the ordinances. I've got 2021 pulled up on the website right now. What's the date that this was proposed?
Yes, the wording is under public safety now. Yes, it's the wording in the ordinance itself.
Right, but I'm saying for public services, is that wording under public safety?
It's worded in the ordinance, but not
Not as a title.
not as a title for the committees. That's a problem.
Okay, I think we just need to table it. Please allow me to do the research, because I could straighten this out if I get to a computer. If I can get to 21 ordinance.
I have another statement, please, Madam Mayor. Trustee Johnson, you were looking from that other one that we voted down, or because the one, okay, so we don't want to be talking about, we're only talking about this one right here. The 2021, yes. Yeah, so we're not even talking about that with the public safety and all that. We're talking about the 21, because the public safety portion, that was voted down, so we don't even need to be talking about that. We should be only talking about this one, the 21. It was voted down twice. The last one, I thought it was 3 times it was voted down, but it was only twice. The third one was tabled because it needed more information. Yes, she did. Yes, she needed to make a correction about her duties. She did, but we're not even talking about that now, so.
So our concern right now is public service. The title is out. When you guys was current, you'll know.
Then we can move forward, yeah. Put this one. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Clerk Williams, let's talk about the updated proposals and codification of the ordinance.
Thank you. This leads right into the this item that we've already discussed. I'm just going to be reiterating what I've already told you before. I gave you the most recent proposal. The person that the mayor was working with in the past is retired, so I'm working with Josh Morgan, and he sent me the most recent proposal, which is not even a proposal with a quote, because there's work that needs to be done before they can give us a bona fide amount. But they wanted to know what direction we wanted to go in, as I discussed last time. Do we just want to update the current codes? Do we want to go through the legal research of making sure that the codes that are active in our code book are actually active legally? A lot of things have happened, laws have changed, so we may have codes on our books that are not really legally being used properly. So my suggestion was, since it's been so long since that's been done, is to recodify the code book. It's been done the last time, 2023. We had no ordinances in 2026. It's a matter of so much per page for every ordinance since the middle of 2023 or the end of 2023 through 2025. That needs to be done. That's definite. Then what they will do is they will redo the code book, insert those ordinances appropriately, and like I just explained to you, trustees, I would like you one time to just go through your code book, the municipal code book at the back end of your ordinances on the website, and look how it's labeled like what I just said. Some ordinances have gone through multiple changes through the years. We're 70 years old almost. So obviously things have changed a lot. So the question is, in order to move forward with this, what I need to know from the board is, are we going to do a simple codification? Are we going to do a total codification along with legal research? Because that's where the cost comes in at. But in my opinion, since it's been so long since we've done that, I think we need to do that, because if a resident is looking for what law do they need to abide by, they're going to go to our code book. And if we give them a ticket based on our code book right now, we're not ticketing them properly. And they could win every day in court. So we need to make sure that our current codes are in the code book and that we're currently working within the law that everybody else is working under. So I can't give you a bona fide amount, but the man did say that he would give us 2 budget cycles to pay it. So I'm thinking that generally, in my opinion, since we haven't done it in a while, I'm thinking that we should allow at least $5,000 in this upcoming budget for recodification and give them the go-ahead to move forward, and then they can give us a better quote once the work has been performed. They can't give you a quote ahead of time. They don't know how much it's going to cost. Well, I said he's going to give us 2 budget cycles. And in the past, we did the same thing. We waited for a few years before we recodified. So I'm kind of comparing the same thing, apples to apples. We did 8,000 in the past. I'm saying 10,000. But they're going to give us 2 budget cycles. 2 budget cycles. I'm not trying to force $10,000 into this budget, but I feel comfortable enough to know that if we budget $5,000 in this budget, then get the actual figure of what it costs to do it. Because last time we didn't do the legal review. So we have to pump it up a little bit because we didn't go so far as to see whether or not our laws are in place with the real law. So it's going to cost us more than the $8,000. It may cost us more than the $10,000, but I think $10,000 is a good figure to start with a $5,000 out of this budget, $5,000 out of the next, if that's the way you want to move forward.
So, Mayor, I'm asking the rest of my board members to honestly consider doing the total qualification, and the reason I'm asking for that is because I'll be over the ordinance committee. I have my ordinance committee book at home. I reviewed it. There's a lot of ordinances in there that are not in there. So I need a whole revamp of the ordinances. Our ordinances, remember, is the laws of our town. It's like a Bible. So I have been reviewing them. I do know majority of them, but the main ones that I was looking for is not in there. I even looked online. They're not there neither. So I'm asking my fellow board members to consider doing a total codification, please. Okay.
And that's what I also talked about last time. I need to know how many books do you want them to prepare. When I was the clerk last time and we did a recodification, I made the books. I copied them in-house, which saves a lot of money. It's toner, it's paper. But when you have them do it, obviously it costs money. So, but we did have 5 books prepared for the municipality by the codification company. And then I made additional copies for anybody who wanted it. So my question to you is, before, if we're going to move forward with this company, how many books do you want prepared by the codification company? Do you want CDs also to go, like the police department can put them in their cars, in their radios, in their computers in their cars, and they can look up codes as they're on the street, and the code department can do the same thing? How many CDs do you want? I mean, these are things that we can remanufacture on our own. How many do you want us to put in the quote that they will be providing us, or the work that they'll be doing? Because they can't give me a quote per se until the work is done.
Is it possible how much a CD?
Yes.
How much a binder is?
Either way. Yeah, that she's saying Yeah, flash drive. But in other words, yeah. But I'm saying I could get how much a CD would cost. Yes. What I can't, I'm more concerned about how much is it going to cost to do the research, the legal review of the ordinances. Yeah. Overall. Yeah. Right. Right. So it's up to however you want to do it. If you want to move forward or you want to wait until you get that cost. I can get that cost before Friday because the sooner you move forward, the better off we're going to be. But if the only question hanging out in the wind right now is how much will a CD cost and how much will a hard drive cost, guarantee you I can get that. And well, they can't tell you how much the binder would cost because they don't know how many pages it's going to be. The binder? Yeah, not the contents. Yeah. Okay. I will find that out. Right.
They usually will give us, they usually give us 5 copies.
It's all in the cost. They don't give you anything.
The last couple of times that we did the application, I made the copies myself. I just asked for one copy.
Right.
And I made a copy to all of us. All of the departments.
The code book is about this thick.
But when they recodify, they don't recodify the whole book. We're asking for them to start over. But usually the recodification it depends on how many ordinances you get. Since, I would say since 2023, the number of ordinances that have passed has been negative. I mean, I don't even think since that time you're looking at 10 or 15. So
Yes. Yeah. So what you're saying, Mayor, is the codification update is thin. It's a supplement that you add to the current code book. We don't want that. We want to do a flat out, all out. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Yeah. And that book will be about this thick.
Well, I mean, bottom line is to find out how, if there is an additional cost, additional copies. If it's going to be that big, we only need one book. Because it's proximity, if someone from fire department, police department, or one of the departments want to see a book, just come and see a book.
I'm sorry, Trustee Burns, no. I need a hard drive or a flash drive for our police department. Yeah, the book. Yeah, they can make copies of the book. But I'm worried about hard drive or flash drive for the police department.
So we want to know about a binder, hard drives, and copies. That's all you need answers for?
Yes.
You'll have that by Friday.
In the report that Clerk Williams gave us, it states in here, you can receive your code updates on a flash drive, downloadable in a PDF, HTML, WordPerfect, or Microsoft Word at no additional charge.
That's that answer. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Right.
So they will give us 5 binders
They put everything on
and the rest.
our website.
Right.
So really, everything they give us, it goes on our website. So you can just get your website, get information.
Also, it not only goes on our website, with this particular company, anybody can do a search on any topic. And any community that has that ordinance on their book, it comes up. So they're able, so a researcher is able to
to 15. With that being said, I have a motion to adjourn.
So,
Since David, all in favor?
yeah.
Debbie voted no.